Hey everyone, it's Rajiv and welcome to my channel Rajiv's Reviews. In this video, I'm going to be giving my book review of a book that has become viral over the last few days because of its connection to the coronavirus COVID situation. And that book is the non-fiction book called End of Days by Sylvia Browne. Now, before I directly get into this mess of a book and how it is connected to the coronavirus situation, I want to give a brief synopsis of what this book is about and the author and my opinions about it. So, Sylvia Browne is a very famous psychic and she has released such books where she prophesizes about what's going to happen in the future. So, this particular book, End of Days, was released in 2008, and I think the author mainly released this book at that time because there was a lot of talk going on about how the world was going to end in 2012 because of the Mayan calendar. I feel like this book can be split into two sections, where the first section is about how she talks about the past and how people from the past prophesize the future, and the second part, which is towards the end, is when she gives her own prophecies and predictions as to what is going to happen. I thought the book started off really well because she talks about all the various civilizations like the Mayans and the Incas and the Aztecs and the Navajo, and how they were so advanced during that time and what kind of predictions they made during their day and age, and randomly or surprisingly how some of them actually came true. I personally love reading about civilizations, so I found it very interesting how the author puts in these specific segments, like how Plato thought that the Atlanteans were extraterrestrials who came down on Earth, and how the Cherokee have this belief of a rattlesnake which has 52 scales, which symbolizes the calendar, and how in 1994 astronomers were actually surprised when one of the prophecies came true. Honestly, till this part, it was all going good because the author puts her own spin into a few things and she makes it sound as if all of these civilizations actually have something in common. After she talks about the civilizations, the author then goes into each religion, like Christianity and Islam and Hinduism and Jainism and Buddhism, and how all of these religions have prophesized the coming of doom. And she talks about all these prophecies that have come in over the last 100 or so years. And then she goes on to talk about specific famous people like Sir Isaac Newton and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and H.G. Wells, who all came into the spiritual side and they also prophesized about the future. So I found all of these parts also to be very interesting because the author talks about how Nostradamus predicted the 9/11 attacks many years before, and how it is predicted, according to Nostradamus, that the world will come to an end in 3700 AD or something, and how Sir Isaac Newton also predicts that the world will come to an end in 2060. So after all of this, the author also talks about the various cults like the Manson murders and Jim Jones and David Koresh and the Heaven Gates and all of these groups that people blindly followed because they told them that they were the next incarnate of God. The first three-fourths of the book mainly covered the past and how various people from the past predicted the future and prophesized the doom or the end of days. But here is when I totally lost it with this book and I thought it was completely ridiculous, because this is where the psychic author predicts as to what will happen in the next 100 or so years according to her. She gives a lot of predictions, but the main famous one that has now been connected to the COVID coronavirus situation is, in around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. Almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as quickly as it arrived, attack again 10 years later, and then disappears completely. To be honest, the author predicts a lot of crap in this book, And I think she is very lucky because of all the things that she predicted. This was the only thing that coincidentally came true. Like I said before, this book was published in 2008, so she predicted a lot of things that was supposed to have happened in the last decade from 2010 to 2019, none of which happened. She said that by 2010 there will be no diabetes because there will be this miracle protein cure that people can just take in and their diabetes will disappear. She also said that by 2015 or 16 cancer will be a thing of the past because there will be a drug injected in the cancerous areas of the cells which will eradicate it completely. And then she talks about how mental illnesses will also be cured because scientists will inject some form of a chip in the person's mind, and that will calculate the neurological imbalances in the brain and magically cure all types of mental illnesses. She also goes on to say that blindness will also be cured by 2020, and by this time we should all be having robots in our homes to do our housework and take care of the children and teach them and whatnot. As if all this is not enough, she also says that by the year 2020, there will be no more retirement plans, no more mutual funds, no more this and that. And she doesn't just stop there. She continues to go on saying that by this time, we would have found out the extraterrestrial life forms who have been living with us on Earth and hiding secretly, but because of social media, they will be more visible to the public, and one of them will win a Nobel Prize. And it got to a point where I thought this was so much nonsense in this book that I wondered how it even got published in the first place. Honestly, in my opinion, I do not think that this person predicted the future or the coronavirus situation 12 years ago. And if she did, because she's kind of mentioned it, it's purely coincidence or it's a fluke. And you know how you try to throw the darts in all directions, hoping that one of it hits the target. It's something like that. She got very lucky because the one random thing that she mentioned in all of her prophecies actually came true. If you have read this book, you will agree with me because all the 15 or 20 other things that she predicted would happen in the last 10 years did not happen at all. But having said that, overall, I thought this book was okay because I did get to read a few interesting things about various civilizations, and I was also interested in how the author perceived how people in the past predicted the future. And for that one main reason, I am giving this book a rating of 2.5 out of 5 stars. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please do show your support by liking, subscribing to my channel, and please click on the bell notifications icon to get notifications on whenever I post something new. Again, please be sure to take care of yourselves during this time and stay safe. And until next time, bye.